So we are here to discuss the portion of Emor, and I'll read from the Aramaic first, and then we'll continue with the translation. Tu patach v'amar, v'yisa Aaron et yadav el ha'am, v'yvarchem, v'tanenan, yado ketiv devaye le'ezakefa, ימינה על שמאלה, ומה היא להחזאה עובדה לטאטה בגין דהתאר עובדה לאלה. Okay, so, and you open again with, and Aaron, the brother of Moses, lifted up his hands towards the people and blessed them. We learned that hands is spelled without the yud and is read hand, to teach us that one should raise the right hand over the left. Why? To display an action below so that a corresponding act will be awakened above. So although that could sound, I'd say, simple, the message, I guess, is can be taken in different directions. And Aaron lifted up his hands towards the people and blessed them. ויישא אהרון את ידיו אל העם ויברכם. And so the word yad, which is hand, in this context, he raises the right over the left. So because we study Kabbalah and the Zohar, so we learn about the right hand being the energy of mercy and the left hand being the energy of gvura or judgment. So again, we are here to talk about a polarity of energy. When we're talking about the right column, we're talking about the energy of sharing. And when we're talking about the left column, we're talking about the energy of receiving. So obviously this is not to lead us to become, what's the word? People that say, do not go under ladders, do not do this, do not do, you know what I'm talking about? What's the word?
Superstitious.
Exactly. So we don't want to become superstitious, and that's unfortunately, even if you are to study spirituality or Kabbalah, you can become religious. And when we become superstitious is when we become religious. That those things are basically what dominate or control you. And so it is an important information so that we can, ultimately make better choices. And so when we're talking about a way that Aaron was able to physically, but also spiritually bless the people, is that, like in the physical, he was raising his right hand above the left. So if you will, it's like, you would bless like this, but then the right would be above. So maybe for somebody who was like no clue about spirituality, energies, etc., would look at it and it wouldn't even trigger any question. Oh, that's funny, and would just move on. But we need to know that it would be on a conscious level that we do that. It also awakens, consciousness, and it awakens the energy that you draw, the law of attraction. So if you let your right column dominate, this is what would dominate your life in return. So if you are prioritizing the things that are going to generate, create, draw positive energy, sharing energy, forgiveness and tolerance, this is what we would draw in return. So the fact that he's raising his hands physically is not merely for the physical impact, because when you do things in the physical and it is, let's say, let's just like, like expand it to a level that's like in the 1%, it doesn't really have an energetical impact. But when you do something with intention, that is when you charge your act, your task with energy. And by the way, I'm not necessarily here talking about positive things, right? Somebody can do something negative and puts in a lot of intention. So you can see out there people that are extremely passionate about a certain topic, and it doesn't have to be a positive topic. It can be from education, politics, economy, just about anything. You could actually have like one topic that if somebody would hear you talking would say, wow, you're really passionate about this. Now, if those subjects are mundane, meaning, in the physical sense, things that we're dealing in our society or in our 1% physical life, so it is what you put out there that comes back in relation to that intensity. So you can see, you can spend like 30 minutes with somebody, with a friend, an acquaintance, to just, oh, let's go for coffee. And then the person has like no intention or no passion and is just talking for the sake of talking. I promise you that after 30 minutes, you'll be wiped. And equally, if you are to talk to somebody who is extremely passionate about the topic, but in a negative way, that would wipe you all the same, if not more. It is in those situations that you are exposed to somebody, you spending 30 minutes, or even sometimes like you talk to somebody like for 30 seconds and it made your day, right? And that is because the intention, the sincerity, and the truth that is infused and injected in the words and in the emotion that would make the whole difference. So this is why, if there is like any takeaway from this, is to put more intention in the actions and the tasks that we do. And I try as best as I can, but most of the time I'm not putting the intention because, I'm a robot like most of us. From the moment that you do things, in repetition, you kind of like lose the sense of, like take a moment and inject intention, right? And so that can be variable with not just like, like things that, like taking care of your children or, going for a walk or, and even like talking to people, like, especially at the start. I remember, as a teacher, very early in my stage in the center, I was given that opportunity to speak with people, and a lot of times, I would be like the instructor or the teacher, and I really had to do a lot of work with being present. Why? Because, for a Gemini, it is the easiest thing to just like, fly towards like in the out of space, or being concerned or worried about something, or thinking about the next meeting, or thinking about the previous meeting, or the things that we have to accomplish and our goals and vacation the time that you're going to spend with this person, or your regrets or your resentment. It's a very hard task to be present. And so, you know, the incredible thing, and what helped me a lot to become more and more present, not saying that I'm always, but I'm definitely better than I used to, is that even though a lot of times I would be like, let's say, like on the phone, and I would be speaking to somebody, it would be enough for me like to snap out like for like 30 seconds, and the person talking, you know, there are people that you talk to and you don't make conversation, you just listen to them, because there are some people that like more, you know, to talk than to listen, and it's okay. I've become also a very good listener, and this is why people like to talk to me, I guess. And so, but a lot of times, you know, it happened to me that, you know, like the person talks and talks, and sometimes it's not as interesting that, you know, to keep my attention, and I would just to travel in my mind and think about different things, and the person catches me. But, you know, there is nothing that changed, you know, from 1 minute to another, but it was enough that in the consciousness you travel, you know, it's like almost like like a slogan, oh, we're all connected. But trust me, we're all connected. And when I was becoming absent, it would be enough like for 30 seconds to be absent, that the person would bring me right back. It was an interesting thing. So that helped me a lot, you know, at least, you know, in my process. So what I'm trying to say with this, again, going back to this idea of intent, this isn't dealing just with the fact that you're talking to somebody. It is also dealing with your daily affairs, you doing business, you taking care of your child or of your neighbor, or having coffee, or like so many countless of events of things that are happening throughout the day, to put in the intention. Very often, you know, we say, you know, whatever action we do in this physical world awakens, you know, like an impact or repercussion in the upper world. But it's not exactly true. Why? Because there are most of our actions that we do throughout the day, if they're robotic, they don't awaken anything. Or maybe they awake like a little, but it's gone. As it came, it was gone. If we have no intention in the things that we do, we don't awaken anything in the upper world. And so, as best as we would like, you know, like in the big picture, to, you know, to evolve spiritually and to become better at this and at that, and as a person, as a parent, as a father, as a son, or whatever, it starts with that. It starts with us being present and being clear about our intention. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about astrology. You know, I'm Scorpio moon, so Scorpio moon generally are a little intense in the reaction, but they're very sharp also. And so I find myself to be sharp in certain ways, like without going into too much details. And so my wife is now doing like all this like Instagram and messages about parenting, which is incredible, I think. And so earlier she was like recording one of those videos about an experience that she had with our daughter. And so she's talking and I'm multitasking, so I'm doing my thing, but at the same time, I'm able to listen to what she says. And so it was quite funny because she's like recording and then she stops, and then I look at her and I say, that was that was so bad. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, I'm telling her, and the point was, and so she's talking and she said, that's exactly the point. Like she was talking about something that was really important in the moment, but really like sometimes you just lose yourself and you talk about something and you miss the point. And so that was me basically giving her some feedback. And it's important that when you are communicating something, and I'm not necessarily talking about, doing a video or talking to somebody you care about or to a friend, an acquaintance, or coworker, the intention. What is the point of what you're doing right now? What is the intention? What's the goal? So in the same way that she realized, by the way, I just confirmed by saying what she was thinking, that's why she stopped and she decided to restart it, is that if we don't have a goal, if we don't have an intention, a direction where we take the energy of what we're doing right now, it's empty. And so the person or the thing or the project that is going to be the recipient of your action is just not going to benefit from what you're trying to do. And so this is why it's very important for every task, as much as we can, what is the point of what I'm doing right now? So a lot of times it's going to be obvious. Well, that's obvious. I'm doing it because I love my son. I love my spouse. I love my parents. I love my this. I love what I'm doing. Yes, but if you don't bring this back to the why you're doing it, it becomes robotic, right? So you're reminding yourself with every action, the reason why I'm doing this is because I love it. I love this person, and I want to create. Just by reigniting the intention, you reactivated the energy of your task, of your action. Because without the energy, without the intention, your conscious decision of why I'm doing what I'm doing, you might start to finish this act, and it, the same way that it came, it left without leaving a mark behind you. Hillary, are you raising your finger? Or marker or something? No. Okay, so going back to Aaron, and Aaron lifted up his hands towards the people and blessed them. So it might sound like almost like obvious. Obviously, Aaron is lifting his hands. Why would he be lifting his hands? He would lift his hands not because they're cops. He would lift his hands because he wants to bless them. He wants to share you, and he's raising the hand not only because he's Aaron, the high priest. He represents mercy. He represents the right column. So the same way that he is 100% in every given instant representing that, naturally it takes the shape of what he represents. So you think that, it takes like, raising the hand, but at the same time, he's successful at awakening that in the upper world. Whatever he did in the physical becomes in the spiritual, because there is intention. And only then can we apply the, whatever we do in the physical awakens an equal in a spiritual, energetical, like equilibrium in the spiritual sense. But other than that, if there is no intent, if there is no what we call kavanah, it's like, God forbid, we don't accomplish anything. And so at the end of the day, we think that we need to do like all these like massive moving mountain actions to see change in our lives. It starts with that, and it can start with very, very small, tiny things that we're not even thinking about, or we stopped thinking about. The mundane daily things that you do right now, you don't need to change anything. Start reigniting, start re-injecting intention. And by re-injecting intention, you awaken an equal in the upper world that changes everything. It activates your role. What is our role? We are born to be a conduit. We are born to be a channel. The job of the 1% is to make us fall into the routine, because in the realm of the routine, there is no intention. in the realm, in the spiritual realm, there is knowing, there is present, there is no past and future. There is being in the now. And so as best as we can, and as best as we can catch ourselves, to be in the present and to inject intention. Did we get this point? Yes? All right. כתיב ועברת שופר תרועה בחודש השביעי וגומר שופר תרועה מאי, אלא שופר דמדבר שלשלאין דמטבר שולטנותה, מכל עבדין ובעיה, להחזאה שופר דיו, פשיט ולה כפיף. להחזאה חירו לחולה, דהה יומא גרים, ובחולה בעי להחזאה ועבדה, ועלדה שופר ולה קרן, בגין להחזאה מן, הוא אתר להתקרא שופר. Okay, so I'd like to take this little passage from the Rav Ashlag. So it confirms what we were saying, ולא כפוף להראות חירות לכל, כי היום גרם, ובכל דבר צריכים להראות מעשה למטה. כדי לעורר כנוגדו למעלה, ועל כן שופר ולא קרן, כד להראות מאיזה מקום, הוא שנקרא שופר, כי שופר הוא סוד בינה וקרן הסוד מלכות. Makes sense. Right. Okay, and so it behooves one always to demonstrate a deed below to awaken a corresponding one above. Hence, a shofar is used rather than a horn to indicate whence it comes, a place called shofar. Since a shofar is the secret of Binah, and a horn is the secret of Malchut. And so it's interesting, again, the metaphor, because when we're using the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, why using a shofar? A shofar is the ram's horn. So why not use a regular horn? Why use the ram's horn? And it says, because the shofar represents the energy of Binah, which is the upper world. Hence the shofar, or the horn, the regular horn, represents the secret of Malchut, which is in the 1%. And so, yes, we would awaken a corresponding deed above, but again, we have to do something that is elevated in our consciousness in order to create that impact in the upper world. As long as we are focused and busy on mundane and 1% things, we are connecting to the horn. We're not connecting to the shofar. As soon as we're starting to do things that are more spiritual, more elevated in our consciousness with intention, so there is a better chance that we're tapping into the upper world, or that we awaken a corresponding act in the upper world if we do something spiritual. But remains the fact that you can always create or generate a potential energy. And that potential energy is when you do something positive, but it's not with intention, or it's with the wrong intention. So when you do a positive act with the wrong intention, it's still a positive act, right? And so a positive act, you can be sharing, you can do a positive deeds, but you do it with the desire to get recognition, or to get approval, or to get somebody to like you. And so what happens to that? Right? It's a good question, isn't it? So if we are to do a positive act, and it is with the wrong intention, that energy has still been created, but it remains sort of floating. And so it creates a lot of potential. And so, we even using these expressions about, some of the people that we know, maybe some people called us in that name and said, wow, it's incredible. You could do so much. You have so much potential. Right. And so what about the manifestation? Why is there an area in my life where it's just potential? Why can I experience a level of success in the area that is important to me? And so you can feel that there is so much potential and you could accomplish so much more, but why is it not coming? And we need to know that it is a lot related to what is being discussed right now. It's not that you're doing the wrong thing. It is simply maybe we needed to tune in, or we needed to tune up the intention that is either wrong, the wrong intention, or it is just no intention at all. And so you have a lot of people that do a lot of good, and they do charity, and they do volunteering, but they do it, and I've met a few people like that, where they do all this good because they hope that it's going to compensate all the bad that they do. And so when I'm talking about bad, we're not bad people, but we can be manipulative, or we can be like seeking rewards or prize or fame, or again recognition and approval. And so those things are very human. I'm not talking about extraterrestrial, desires. We're talking about us, and we need to know that, again, if we are doing the right thing, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to bank on that. Doesn't necessarily mean that's it, you're going to touch the jackpot. You're doing the right thing. A lot of people do the right thing and then they cry, oh God, why am I not finding the soulmate? Why am I not finding success? I'm doing all the right things. And you need to know it is very much related to the lesson that we're learning about right now. Intention, intention, intention. And so if it's not happening, again, ask yourself this question: how much does the light want to share with us? How much in capacity can the light share with us, give to us, fulfill us, help us to accomplish the infinite, endless? So why is it not happening? Because we are the only ones that limit how much we can accomplish and how much we can experience and receive from the universe, from the light force of the creator. We limit ourselves. And so, again, it is not to go into like a depressed mode, but at least maybe we can, I guess, ask the question as best and as many times as we can, with, again, don't go into like a big thinking, philosophical, like a question marks. It's start with the small things that you do every minute. What is my intention? Why am I doing that? You might be surprised of the answers that come up. Oh, that's interesting. Why am I doing this? I don't like it. Doesn't make me feel good. So why am I doing it? And so I spoke to somebody earlier today, about something earlier today. And a lot of what this person was doing or is doing is to please somebody else. So this person is sacrificing a lot and has been sacrificing for years her own desires at the expense of, her family, her friends, what they expect of her or what they want to get from her. So you've been busy all these years, day in and day out, doing things that are not making you happy. So what is the intention? Well, first of all, there is no intention. You just do it because It's like beyond even like the robotic consciousness. You're doing it, and the only thing that is going to be generated from that is resentment, victimness, and blame. Maybe you don't see it right now, but it's a ticking bomb. It is a ticking bomb. If we are not taking control over our life, and this is what it means to take over our life, to question as best and as much as we can on a daily basis, is the purpose in what I'm doing right now? What's the point? And actually, that's the point. Of course, it's important. I need to do this, and that's the reason why I'm doing it. And so for all the rest of the things that likely might come as, I really don't know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm being asked to do it. So does it make you happy? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like you could do something better? Absolutely. So why don't you ask to do something else? I don't know. I never thought about it. It's this kind of like conversations that you can start having with yourself. Nobody's going to judge you. Start having that conversation with yourself with almost every single thing that you do. Keep a journal, make a list, make a table. This checkbox, X, and start cleaning out the things that are elevating you and awakening a corresponding light in the upper world, which as a repercussion, as an impact, as the effect, is going to draw blessings upon you. It rests on you. And then you realize that all these potentials suddenly transform into manifestation, into actual manifestation. That's what I got today. Any questions? Thoughts? Objection?
It's a beautiful message. It's a beautiful.
Thank you. We good?
Yehuda,
Yes.
I want to ask you something. When you mentioned that when a person has potential and that energy stays there, like he doesn't get the energy, but the energy stays there, you said, right? Once he start to asking the questions and act in a way that to gain that energy is coming back to him, or he has to create a
The
new
energy is yours.
But you get it back or not?
If you've created that energy, you've generated that energy, it's all yours. The question is, when are you going to download this energy? So there are people that will not download this energy in this lifetime. Maybe they'll download it, they'll manifest it, in 1 or 2 or 3 lifetimes. And a lot of those cases, you have situations where it seems that you have a person who is not deserving or should not merit this kind of success or luck, but then this person gets like all these blessings. Where is that coming from? That's the thing. That's the beauty with energy. It's not limited with time. So once you're creating that energy, it just took its flight. Whenever it's going to land back in our life, because you are creating that corresponding equal spiritual energy. The question, and I wouldn't worry about it right now, when is that going to land? It really depends on, like tuning up our intentions behind what we do. And maybe you'll get it like in this lifetime, or you'll get it like in the next lifetime. But once you're getting it, it's like, imagine like all the accumulated potentials from the last like 100 lifetimes. It's just going to shower you. It's just going to shower you. And that's when like there is no such a thing as sudden explosion of success. No such a thing. Bless you. Like that energy is going to land in your life as soon as we're getting, as soon as we're putting the intention, that's when it happens. But for certain, each and every single one of us have accumulated tremendous amount of energy. It is in the bank that is under my name. Nobody's gonna, um, pick that lock of that account. That's mine.
Excellent. Thank you.
Say hi to everybody. Hi.
Yehuda, can you give an example of something mundane with added intention? Something like an example maybe from just today from your life.
I guess
Or non-personal. Just
no.
just,
Even personal. I don't mind sharing personal things. Even doing my work, for instance, like I do a lot of like let's call it like computer work, because I'm dealing with sales and revenue lately, and although it's like almost like second nature for me, I do it robotically. And I don't necessarily inject intention behind it, right? Or you can go for a walk. What are you doing during your walk? Right? So you go for a walk, and then it's been like 30 or 45 minutes, and you're just like, like some people are like, like listening to music, or like they do mundane things, right? Or they just like browse, or they just like fly whatever comes to their head, and they don't use this time to to elevate the consciousness. So some people, I know a lot of people that do that. They go for walks, and at the same time they listen to lectures, to Abraham Hicks, or whatever works for you, that injects intention, that inject goal, that inject passion and excitement and appreciation, and to be in the now. So it can go from there to cooking, to playing with your kids. I see a lot of parents at the park, they're with their kids, but they're on the phone, right? And so they just like browse the internet, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, watching this nonsense. I do it all the time. Like I'm at least 1 hour a day on Facebook. So I have like particular things that I like. Like I like these talent shows. I love watching these talent shows, especially when they get to the golden buzzer, and I always like shed a tear. That's great. That's awesome. But like I don't, in that moment, I just spent like an hour, and I didn't necessarily generate any elevated consciousness.
thank you.
Anything else? Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you. Love
guys.
you.
Love you
Thanks, Yehuda.
too. You're welcome.
You. Thank you.